One of the things that I really, really am fascinated with is bits, and the biggest reason is that everything to do with horses and training is really about communication. So the bit is really our line of communication, one of our best and first lines of communication when we're on the back. If you don't know how to use a bit, it's actually, well, first, what is a bit? A bit is your tool. Is it your horse's tool or your tool? It's your tool. So if you don't understand and know the tool that you're using, you're going to have a really hard time. The purpose in it, how it's used, what it's used for. So the first one that you'd want to start with, as far as a bit, would be the snaffle bit. And so we figured we'd kind of go over the snaffle bit a little bit. This is a snaffle bit. It's probably one that I've used for 20-something years now, and that's something to cover also. Can I just buy me any old snaffle bit, or do I need to buy a really expensive snaffle bit? So a lot of that has to do with quality of the tools that you're going to use. If it's going to be a craft that you're going to do for a long period of time and something of high quality that you want, then it's going to make a difference in what type of tool you use. This snaffle bit, oh gosh, I don't know how much I paid for it, but I bought it a long time ago. And it doesn't seize up, it hasn't rusted, it's not a problem. Why? Because it's a high quality. It's actually handmade. I had the guy hand make it, actually even put my brand in it. But it's something that I use on a daily basis, so I put a little bit of money into some of my stuff my tools that I'm going to use. It is a line of communication, so one of the first things for the horse is, on that line of communication, the quality of it also is going to help has to do with a lot of his feel. So his feel is going to be in his mouth. And then the feel for me, and something that most people don't really pay attention to, is the reins. And the reins are my line of communication, right? And what reins to get. Some guys like big, thick, fat reins, and some like small reins, thin reins. What do which one's good? Which one do you use? The rein is actually my line of communication, so it has a lot to do with me. It's my feel. I don't really like heavy. I don't like a heavy rein. I don't have real big hands, so with not having big hands, especially if I'm doubling up, I don't want to have like 1 inch thick, big fat reins. They just don't work for me, and it's too much in my hands for me to get a feel. I can't really feel it. That also means that because I use a lighter set of reins, I need to have a heavier bit. I like a heavier snaffle bit. I like it made out of steel. I like that because it gives weight to it. So when I pick up, I want a lighter rein so that I can feel the heavier bit in my hands. And so it just lightens my cue up a little bit, and that's just me. It's my personal preference and my feel. There's a lot of guys that want the different. They want a heavier set of reins and a heavier bit, or a lighter bit and a bigger, heavier set of reins. And that really has everything to do with your feel. The snaffle bit really is not anything that is taught in the purpose of really pulling back on your reins. It's actually teaching left and it's teaching right. So reason why this is a D-ring snaffle, and the D-ring is actually this ring is in the shape of a D. It's flat and then it goes around. So why? Well, because it gives a little more surface area whenever I pull on this side. So I pull this rein, right? It's going to pull through and pressure on the cheek, or both sides, top and bottom lip, on the horse's mouth. So if his mouth is closed up like this around it, right? That's his lips. And I go to pull, then I'm pulling on this side of the mouth. That's why on a baby only goes into pressure, right? That's all he knows. So if he just knows into pressure and I pull on this, that's applying pressure this way. What he's going to do, because he's into pressure, is he's going to push against it. So when I pull here, he's going to pull that way, right? So I need to teach him to give to that pressure. So I can hold that pressure. Whenever he starts to give it, I give it back. That's why it's so important to be able to have some good feel in that bit and know when he's giving it to you, because he's not going to be a blatant, and run that way. It takes a lot of time to teach that. So in the process, the sooner I feel that give, I can feel the weight, I can feel the give in him and making a move to go my direction or follow my pressure, then I know to give that relief. So a lot of the bit that you're using has a lot to do with cues and what it is you're trying to obtain. If you don't know what you're trying to obtain, then it's really kind of hard to describe what kind of bit you want, right? So mine is, I want to be able to, I don't want him to open his mouth and slide that bit through. I want to have a little bit of extra pressure on each side of that lip. On the other side, so I like a D-ring snaffle. And I like it made out of a little bit heavier, like steel, right? Because I want to have the weight. And then I like a little bit thinner rein. And I like the split rein, and I like one with water loop, right? And that's probably one of the most important parts. I've seen people here lately taking their reins and cutting them and rethreading them through there and making them to where they're kind of tied hard and fast. This is safety, right? And you should know that. This is safety. The weakest link on this whole setup is this little piece of leather right here. So if he steps on that, it's not going to rip his mouth apart. If I drop a rein and he steps on it, it's going to rip through his mouth. And this is my thinnest part. So this is where it's going to break. It's not going to hurt him. It's not going to hurt anything else. Actually, if anything happens, it's going to rip through these two little holes right here, and I have to punch new holes and put the reins back on, right? But it's an important part. So if you do, and you're riding with split reins, right? The thing about split reins, one can drop and fall and can step on it. You need to have a water loop.